Animals are often separated from their mother at a very young age and raised in captivity. Until recently, it was assumed these animals would remember nothing about their parents, leading to them being referred to as artificial animals. The lack of understanding about animal intelligence is one of the reasons for the mistreatment and abuse many animals face, which is why it's important to provide an answer to this question. We have many interesting topics about animals on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like to get new video. Also, you can find beautiful fine art with reasonable prices in the link below. Don't miss it. Animals have the ability to remember their parents. They have the ability to recognize their parents and even remember events that happened when they were just a few hours old. Animals are able to recognize their parents because they share DNA with them. In order for an animal to remember its parents, it needs to be imprinted on them during a certain period of time in its life. This process is called imprinting. The first imprinting occurs when the animal is born and lasts for about 3 to 4 days. The second imprinting occurs after the animal has reached sexual maturity and lasts for about 2 to 3 weeks. The third imprinting happens when the animal becomes independent from its mother and lasts until it dies or reaches sexual maturity, whichever comes first. In order to understand how animals remember their parents, we need to understand the role of memory in an animal's life. Animals are able to remember their parents because they have a very strong bond with them. They have a long-term memory, and they pass this on to their offspring through behaviors such as imprinting and learning from other members of their species. Different species also have different ways of remembering their parents. For example, birds will remember their parents by singing songs that remind them of them, or by building nests that remind them of where they came from. What is the science behind animals remembering their parents? The answer to this question is actually quite simple. The science behind animals remembering their parents is that the mother and father teach the young animal about food, shelter, and where to find water. It is a survival instinct for animals to remember their parents because it helps them avoid danger in the future. Many animals remember their parents and can even recognize them from a distance. These animals are capable of learning through observation and experience, which is what humans do as well. When it comes to animals, we tend to think of them as instinctual creatures that don't think about the past or future. However, recent research has shown that animals can remember their parents for up to 10 years and even remember what their parents ate. We have done a lot of research on how animals remember their parents. We have studied different species of animals including primates and dogs. These studies show that when an animal is born, they are imprinted on a specific individual in the group, usually their mother or father. This means that they will always recognize this individual as the one, and will follow them around until they die. Animal memory studies that prove animals can remember their parents. The study of memory in animals has been a topic of interest for scientists and researchers for many years. Many people believe that animals can't remember anything, but a recent study proves otherwise. The study was published in the journal Nature, and it found that animals can remember their parents, siblings, and even their offspring. This is the first time that scientists have found evidence of this type in any animal species. In one such study, it was found out that the elephants used their memories to find their mothers in order to encourage her to take care of them. Another study was conducted on wild chimpanzees, and it was found out that they remembered the faces of their mothers for a period of about 3 years. Memory is the process of storing information from our senses and the brain. The study of animal memory is not new. There have been studies done on how animals remember their parents for many years. Scientists have found that animals can remember their parents for a long period of time, but not as long as humans do. They also found that some animals can even recognize their parents after a few weeks or months after they have been separated from them. What animals do to remember their families. In this section, we will discuss what animals do to remember their families. Many animals have a way of remembering their family members, such as the red-tailed hawk who uses its eyesight to find its mate, and the zebra, who has stripes that match those of its parents. The zebra's stripes are a form of camouflage that helps it to blend in with its family members. The red-tailed hawk has special vision that allows it to see colors in the dark and identify potential mates. While humans are not the only animals that remember their families, they are the only ones to do it in such a complex way. Many animals remember their families even after separation. This is a great example of how animals can be very smart and learn from their mistakes. In the animal kingdom, many types of animals have been found to have strong memories and recall them even when they are separated from each other for a long period of time. For instance, bottlenose dolphins remember each other's whistles, chimpanzees recognize each other's faces, and elephants recognize the sound of their mother's footsteps on the ground. The following are some examples of how some animals celebrate family bonds. Elephants will identify individual sounds made. Some animals do not forget their families, but they don't need to remember because their offspring are always with them. Other animals like the red fox, who leave the den when they are 1 year old, have a difficult time remembering where their family is. They will often return to the den once they have found it again. 9 reasons why animals remember their parents. In the wild, animals have to remember their parents in order to survive. They have to learn from their parents and other animals that they encounter. This is an instinctive behavior for them. There are many reasons why animals remember their parents. Some of them are based on the fact that they have a strong bond with their parents, and they need to care for them. 1. They can get food from their parents. 2. They can get protection from their parents. 3. They can learn how to hunt, fish, and find food sources from their parents. 4. They can learn survival skills from their parents. 5. Their mothers provide warmth for them and help them survive harsh weather conditions. 6. Their mothers teach them about the dangers of predators and other threats in the environment. 7. Their fathers teach them about how to defend themselves against predators. 8. Their fathers teach them about where prey live in order to hunt it down. 9. The father teaches the son which plants are safe to eat, and which ones if not, so they can avoid predators. 6. Animal studies that prove animals remember their parents. It is not just humans who remember their parents. Animals also remember their parents and even their siblings. There are a number of animal studies to prove this fact. The mother-offspring bond is one of the strongest bonds that exist in nature. It is a bond that animals share with their mothers and fathers. The mother-offspring bond can be seen in many different animal species including 1. In a study conducted by scientists at the University of Cambridge, they found that rats can remember their parents' faces and use them to find their way through a maze. 2. In another study, it was found that chimpanzees are capable of remembering their mother and father for up to 17 years. 3. In a study conducted by experts from the University of California, Berkeley, it was found that alligators can learn new skills from their parents like hunting and escaping predators. 4. In another study by scientists at the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine, they found that dogs can recall memories from when they were puppies as well as how to perform tasks like fetching objects and responding to commands after being trained as adults. 5. Dolphins. A study found that dolphins have a close relationship with their mothers and will follow them for days on end, which is thought to be the reason dolphins often come to beachgoers in the hopes of reuniting with their moms. 6. Elephants. In an experiment, it was found that elephants remembered the smell of their dead mother for up to 6 years after. Time to change your mindset on how animals can remember their parents. In the past, we thought that animals have a limited capacity to remember their parents. We also thought that they have a short-term memory of only 3 hours. But now we know that animals have an amazing ability to remember their parents, and they can recall memories from up to 4 years ago. This is thanks to some recent studies. It is important for us to change our mindset on how animals are remembering their parents, because it can help in many ways, such as helping them survive in the wild and getting adopted by humans. Animal memory and its connection to human memory. Memory is an important ability in the animal world. It allows animals to remember what they have experienced and use it to their advantage. This is especially true for predators, who use the memories of their prey to find them again. Animals can also use memory to learn from past experiences and predict future ones. Memory is a complex process that is hard to understand and even harder to explain. Memory begins with the senses, but this is only the first step in the process of remembering something. The next step is encoding, which means recording information in your brain so that you can remember it later on. This process can be done through images, sounds, smells, or tastes. Human beings have a much more advanced form of memory than animals, but there are some similarities. One example is that humans have a long-term memory and an immediate memory. Conclusion: for do animals remember their parents? Yes. Animals do indeed remember their parents. Research into animal culture, for example on chimpanzees, has shown that apes have an innate ability to recognize familiar family members who have been removed from their lives, especially if they're related by blood or in-laws.